Hello, everyone. We have such a treat for you today. We have Lorena from GitHub, and we're going to talk about GitHub Labs. And you might not know what that is because I had forgotten about it as well, but it is awesome. I'm going to let Lorena introduce herself. So, Lorena, please tell us about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Lorena, pronouns she, her. And let's see, so I'm an engineer at GitHub. I actually don't work on GitHub Labs, but I do think they're really cool. So I definitely will be happy to talk about how I came across them, ways that I've used them in some of the open source community work that I do. And I guess besides my day job at GitHub, some more stuff I do. I do some work with the Python space, pretty active with PyLadies and the Python Software Foundation.
Awesome. It definitely keeps you busy. So that's great. I have looked at your socials and you are so active in the community. I'm so privileged and so grateful to you taking the time out of your day to join us here all the way over from the US.
Yeah, yep, based in the Windy City, Chicago.
Nice. And everyone, don't forget to ask your questions in the chat. And if I do miss it, I might ask you to copy and paste it in because I will be focusing on GitHub Labs as Lorena. Hopefully, I pronounced your name a bit better. I'm really
You've
sorry.
got it. You've got
Okay, you're too
it.
kind. And we're going to walk through this. And I haven't used this. I think it came out a few years ago. I did share the blog post link in the chat further up. And I think it came out a few years ago. And I used it when it first came out. And I thought it was amazing. And I haven't used it since. So I'm really excited to be pairing on this and trying to learn more about it. So where shall we start? What is GitHub? What is GitHub Labs?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I thought we were kind of chatting before we got the stream kicked off. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about, and I think is really important when people talk about open source, is that there is really no one way to be a coder or to be a programmer. Even then, I find that language sometimes may not be, I don't know if I necessarily always identify as a coder or as an engineer. Language can be a bit arbitrary. There's obviously many pathways into becoming someone that uses open source. So you can be someone that perhaps helps with documentation. Perhaps you're someone who is a project manager. Maybe you are an engineer. But all that to say that the ways in which we use technology, and if you are writing code or if you aren't writing code, there's several different kinds of skill sets that you may use to help in the execution of whatever your technical role may be. So I think what's really cool about GitHub Labs is in thinking about how to meet people where they are at and in helping people understand how it is they can start using Git and GitHub. I get a lot of those questions of like, oh, I don't really like what skill set do I need to have to start? Or what in the world even is, sometimes people might ask, like, what is code? And they might be very embarrassed to ask that, which I'm just going to say, as someone who did not go to school for computer science, I started by finding local meetup groups that I could start contributing to projects on. And that was really awesome for me, but not everyone has community in their backyard. And obviously, given that we're living in the moment we're living right now, meeting up in person is not exactly an option. So GitHub Learning Labs, but what are they? Basically, they are these different sets of modules that you can use to help you learn how to perform different skills and kind of level up different areas of expertise that you might be wanting to pursue. So if you want to go ahead and click in the find your first course.
Okay, I'm a bit nervous. I'm just going to ask the question to everyone. Have you used GitHub Labs before, or were you aware of it but haven't used it? I'd be interested to know. Let us know in the chat what if you've come across it before and used it. Okay, find your first course. Let's do it.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So you get dropped into this view, which shows you it looks like you might have one that's in progress, which is cool. But if you want to actually scroll down for me.
Yeah, let's do it. What else have we got?
Yeah, so you can see that there's already some of these curated courses that I was talking about. So GitHub Learning Labs, basically there's a set of content that's already made available to you. So you'll see like some of them were created by the GitHub training team. If you were to continue to poke around, you may come across some other different ones that are written by different folks. Like, for example, we will get to it probably towards the tail end, but we can look at some of the ones that are in the language section. If you scroll back a little bit to the top.
Sorry, I went too fast.
Oh no, you're okay. So like GitHub Actions.
Yeah, I didn't realize you had GitHub Actions as well. That's so cool. I want to be playing with those for sure.
So like the languages and tools, so, like, you'll notice like there's every developer, and so like there's different ones here. So what I think would be probably cool to start with is maybe just going in and popping in with one of the simpler ones, since I know we're not trying to do many hours of exploration today, but rather just kind of get our feet wet. So let's go ahead and actually let's start with the introduction to GitHub, which I believe was at the top of the page.
Yes.
Learning GitHub. Actually, yeah, this is kind of great. Our learning paths, introduction to GitHub, and I wonder which one would be better. Okay, so there's this concept of having you have standalone courses, and then you have courses that are courses modules. I'll kind of use those interchangeably that are part of these bigger things we call learning paths. So an example of like a learning path is like the DevOps with GitHub Actions, or first week on GitHub, or first day on GitHub.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so kind of like thinking about, what experience you are wanting to do. You might be looking for something that's a little bit more narrow, or you might be wanting to look for something that is in these predefined learning paths. So if we were to just click on, let's say, first week on GitHub, let's try that.
First week on GitHub. Okay. Is this going to be a collection? Or is it going to be like a one-off?
This will be a collection. So it's our learning paths. Yeah. Cool. And if you actually, when you get dropped into this view, you'll see that then there is an overview explaining kind of like what the course is. And then it tells you kind of like each component of what you would be completing. So discovering GitHub pages, reviewing pull requests, managing merge conflicts, et cetera, et cetera. Actually, I think the one that I might want to do is the learning path, because the GitHub Actions one is good, but I think actually what I think might be good would be to do the ramp up on Git and GitHub. Okay. So that one is, let's see, ramp up. If you just click into introduction with GitHub, it might take you to that learning path. Okay,
learn or start? I'll do learn first. And let's have a look.
Yeah. And you can actually see how you started this. You can actually click leave course and it'll reset you, which is good.
Perfect. Shall I do that? Mm-hmm. Do you want to delete your course repository? Yes.
Start again. So yeah, if you've ever started any of these and you're like, I have no idea where I left, because I know I do that all the time.
I think I didn't do any of it though. I just clicked start and didn't do anything. But look how many people have taken this. Wow. So almost 300,000 people have taken this course, which is epic. And is it possible, have I understood this correctly? Is it possible for people to create their own courses as well?
Yes, it is. So I think maybe walking through a workflow of what a course looks like would be good. And then maybe we can take a look at the GitHub Actions one, because I think that one's really awesome. And from there, we can kind of pop in to see what it looks like to write your own.
Sure. Yeah, if we get time, we'll leave that towards the end if we get time. So let's do that. Okay, sounds good.
Want to click the Start Free Course?
Yeah. Public?
Yep. And
English? I'll use web interface. Is that okay?
That works.
Awesome. Okay, creating a repository on my account. Pushing the course materials to your repository. Adding the final touches. Nice. I wonder, do I get an activity kind of green square for doing this on my activity page? I wonder. I must do.
I believe so. That's actually a really good question. Because as you'll see, when we get to it, it actually creates a repository for you in your user.
So it must do.
Yeah, I would assume so, but that's a very good question. And
we'll check for that later on. Well,
I was going to say we could probably validate that.
Yeah, we can check. So at the moment I've got 8, so we'll come back in a bit and see if that number increases.
That, it's all about gamification. I think when it comes to teaching, if I particularly if I want to learn something, I want checkboxes telling me I'm done. I want badges, and I want
Badges
the
and
report,
progress bars. Look, my progress bar is 0 out of 8. I'm not doing so well at the moment.
which is totally fine. But so again, I'm asked a lot by people, how do I get started with Git? Like, what in the world is this thing? And I point people to GitHub Labs because I think they're great. We actually ended up bringing GitHub Labs to a conference that some of us Octogatos, which is the Latinx employee resource group. Some of us went and participated in PyCon Latin America, which was actually 1 year ago. And we were actually able to bring some of the GitHub Learning Labs, which were localized into Spanish, which was so fantastic since, as some folks may be aware, when one is learning, if English is not your first language, there can be a barrier to even getting started, which is so unfortunate because open source, we always, I know I'm probably speaking to the choir here, but I always like to tell people get into open source. That's going to be a great way for you to control kind of the destiny of how you find projects that make you excited, how you can curate your own learning and really start building up that set of expertise that is what you want to own. So GitHub Learning Labs, I think, is kind of a cool way to do that. And ideally, we'll continue to do more and more to try to meet people where they're at. So it's increasing in accessibility. So I think that's pretty cool. Cool. All right. All right. So we've copied it, which is great. As you've highlighted, we're 0% of the way done. So let's go ahead and just push the green button. Start.
Let's do it. Let's start. Okay. Excited.
Okay, great. So what GitHub Learning Labs does, it's again built all in GitHub, and you're going to be walked through an experience where you're going to be seeing prompts that kind of explain like what is the thing I'm going to do. You'll be given a small task of a thing to do. You'll need to complete that small task, and depending on if you've successfully done it or not, you'll either get prompted to retry or you'll get prompted to the next step. So not exactly rocket science, but just to clarify kind of what that looks like.
I think it's good that it kind of drip feeds the user into, they know if they've completed that step and they can move on to the next one or they need to try again and so on. I think it's important. I mean, we're going to go through an easy course now. There's a GitHub Actions one, which I think is, if we don't get time to do that today, that's fine. But that's something I will be doing in my time, because when people ask me about, there's the GitHub Actions hackathon at the moment, I need some practice, how can I get started? And if I can point them to that course, and I haven't done it myself, I know that you'll learn this and this, and it walks you through it, then that could be really interesting.
Yeah, I think the education potential is just really, really cool here. As you've highlighted earlier, like, do I get commitment, or do I get the green acknowledgement that I did a thing? You'll notice actually this GitHub Learning Lab, it actually is a repository called GitHub Slideshow that you own. So the Learning Lab, essentially, you can think of it almost like a template, right? You're checking out that GitHub repository template. And if people aren't familiar with what I am referencing, in GitHub, there's the ability to create a repository that, let's say, I'll use an example from Pilates, which is a community that I help run for marginalized genders that program in Python. And our different chapters always want to make a chapter website. And it is likely going to be including the same 4 pieces of information. Who are the organizers? Where can I find the events? Whatever. And it's just going to be like a static, maybe HTML website. You can actually set up your GitHub repository to be a template, which you just then copy, paste, and then it's got all the same stuff. And then you can use that to be your starting point. That's kind of how under the hood some of this is implemented, is that you've got a combination of repositories that you use. One that is the content, that drives the actual modules of saying, like, what are the prompts of the things you're going to do? And then you're going to have the actual second repository, which has the content of like whatever starter code you may need. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, because we'll look at that again. But yeah, let's get back to this one. So cool. Okay, so this checked out the getting started with GitHub. And as you'll see, it's got an explanation here talking about kind of what are the objectives. So we're not going to be watching all the videos, because I think that that would be very strange for us to go through videos. But essentially what this is saying, very, very bird's eye, is we're going to be introducing you to to a few things, but to kick us off, let's go ahead and get you into our first task. So as you've highlighted already there, step 1, assign yourself. What you have in your GitHub Learning Labs is you're always going to have a set of these. You'll have an introduction, whatever prompt saying like, here's the learning tasks you have, and then you're going to be prompted for the task at hand. So in this example here, pretty straightforward. They're asking you to go ahead and assign this issue to yourself. So let's do that.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
Yay. Step 2.
Boom. Yeah. And notice that prompt right before. I think that's really important to look at. So between step 1 and step 2, see how it says, I'll respond when I detect you've assigned yourself to this issue. And right beneath, sometimes I respond too fast for the page to update. So when people are crafting these learning labs, depending on how you kind of are wiring it up, because again, we're going to be using like GitHub webhooks, events to kind of push forward what the outcome is going to be for the next, either repeat the thing until it's correct, or we've succeeded, now move to the next step. So kind of keeping in mind how the UI updates, there might be some prompts there to kind of read through. So cool, we've done the first thing. Good job, Eddie. We're kicking butt already.
Sounds good. Did I get another green square? I don't know. I want to have a look. I'm quite excited. I think it said 8 before. Let me see if I get another one. Maybe not yet. 9. Oh, I got something. Oh! Yes.
Okay. Today I learned. Okay, great. So since this one's just getting started with GitHub Labs, cool. So they're asking you to turn on GitHub pages, and you'll see, go to settings, scroll down to GitHub pages, and you're going to select as the source the default branch, which when this was written was still set as master. Moving forward, I imagine there'll probably be some more config opportunity to set that to whatever you want your default branch to be, for example, maybe main. Yep, so there you go. And I think you actually did a video on this, if I'm not mistaken.
I did, that's correct.
Now, yeah, which was kind of the same thing you were showing here, but basically if you create another branch, if you were opting to want to use something else as your default, I tend to use main. What do you tend to use as your branch name for your default?
I use main as well now. Ever since doing that video and realizing that that's the standard that people are mostly going to be using and what moving towards, I do use main as well.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, just a heads up for anyone if you have not come across that, Eddie has a video on it. Go check it out.
I do. After this live stream, check it out afterwards.
There you go. After, don't leave us. We
don't leave yet. But one thing that people can do who are watching is ask questions in the chat and give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already. And I have all the things above, and I have shared. I want to pronounce your name wrong. Lorena, I'm trying to do the accent, or not the accent, but the cool Spanishy kind of South American accent. I have shared your Twitter in the chat. So if anyone wants to follow you on Twitter and see what you're up to, do follow on Twitter.
There's a good amount of fun, silly things on my Twitter feed, and yes, it does have that many O's. I was commenting. I do love football, which to me is what people from my country call soccer, but it's truly football. Let's just agree that is correct. Okay, awesome. So as you can see, what that did is that it basically published your repository that you have open and you're working on against the default GitHub page. So for those of you who may not know, there's on your GitHub account, each GitHub user is given access to GitHub username.github.io. And there's one of two ways you can do that. You can specify it by having a gh-pages branch, which will build whatever content is on that repository under that branch and make that available. Or you can do it where you have a repository that's username.github.io, or you can do like the settings we saw here, where you go in and you do settings, GitHub page, and you set that up. Okay, cool. So we've done step 2, step 3.
Step 3, click on that link.
Yeah, so you see the link, which looks great. what is the thing they want us to do in this step? I think they have enumerated it pretty easily. If
Yeah,
you,
close the issue. Sounds pretty good.
yeah,
Right, I can do
which
that.
perfect.
Okay. I'll respond when you've closed.
Yep. Boom.
Yes. Head over to the
Consider
next
this a
issue.
save gamification. We have the big check.
I'm loving this. I'm going to go and try and do as many courses as I can, I think. Especially it will help me with my green squares, right?
There you go. I love it. I love it. Especially if you're doing like some kind of ASCII art thing and I know people who try to do that. It's really interesting. So as you can see, your workflow may not always be designated to just like updating the same issue. Depending on how you're kind of guiding and crafting your experience, you might be going through a few different things, but the core of it is actually you're using GitHub features to drive the actual learning experience. And moving through this, then you'll see that the prompts that can be whatever you want it to be, and you can plug in whatever content you need it to be. So again, back to videos that we're not going to be watching right now, but essentially now that considering that this module is trying to get people kind of familiar with the idea of like what is it, what are issues, like where can I find settings, like what in the world is even a repository. Obviously this is a very simple kind of GitHub Learning Lab, but let's go ahead and just go through I think there's only a few more steps in this one, so
Okay.
we can just kind of power through. So cool, we're familiar. Let's use this issue to track your first commit. So kind of like what we were talking about, having other branches. This is just now asking you to create a branch. Doing that, we can go ahead and create a branch, navigate to the code tab.
So it even gives you links. So it really is really kind of prompting. Yeah. So to create a branch, drop down. This can be, I don't know, live stream branch, create it from master. And I think Joel says, I can't close the issue. What should I do? You should be able, if you're doing the same course, you should be able to close the issue. When you say you can't, can you give some more information? Is the button grayed out? Is there no button? Just check you're in the issue that got created, the first issue on the repos that got created by GitHub Labs.
Sounds good. And then if you want to go ahead and navigate back then to our issue.
That's true.
Yeah.
And if people are following along and we're going a bit fast for you, after the live stream, do jump into the Discord or do tag me in your GitHub repos and I'll get a notification and I can come along and give you a hand as well.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Look at that. Because let's be real, what may look intuitive is probably not always intuitive because things happen. Okay, great. So let's see. Let's go up to in the field name, enter a branch for your, like my slide, click create branch. So we did that. We got prompted now to step 5, commit a file. You've created a branch. Yay. Yes. So you'll notice, and again, just using Markdown, which is great. You can use that. I believe it's the summary and details tag, I believe, is what does the expandable. So if you click on commits 101, you'll see that sometimes, again, just using Markdown, you can drive how much information you want to present or not. Broadly speaking, okay, yeah, so this is just giving more helpful tips about like what does a commit message include, which is great. Definitely encourage folks to go check that out, but what they want us to do here. Okay, cool. So sometimes, again, there might be asks for doing something very explicit. So you want to be intentional because the ways sometimes these courses are set up, they might be like looking for, let's say, a file that's explicitly named this thing. And then maybe, we all have typos. Maybe there's a typo and the GitHub Learning Lab seems to be stuck. I know that I was having some of that when I was playing around with some of the other labs the other day. And then I realized I just wasn't reading the instructions correct, which 95% I think of all the issues.
It's me all the time.
Eddie, you see me, Eddie. So getting back to this and just being intentional about the directions. The following steps will guide you through the process of committing a change on GitHub. Create a new file on this branch in a _posts folder called yes, that.
Okay, let's do it. So if I go back up to here, let me open it in a new tab so I can keep things a bit open. And then I want to add a file in the post directory. So create new file. I think I can put the path in here.
Yes, you can.
Like
And it was
so.
underscore post.
Oh, okay, good. Thanks for noticing. Leave page, let's start again.
Yeah.
Add new file. This is why pair programming is so important. Underscore posts, paste. And then if I go back to this step, it was this one.
Correct. And that's very cool.
D, and then did it say add text, commit the message. Check out
right.
commit 101. Not
Which
sure
was
what
which was that drop down that we clicked on earlier when I mentioned with Markdown. You can.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was just about best practices for how to write a commit message.
Okay, so I'm just going to create this to. I'm not in my branch. I missed a step. It did say select your branch live stream, and I didn't do that. So I was going too fast, and
actually I overlooked that as well.
Jason, I was speaking to him a couple of days ago. Okay, so create new file, start again. Pretty easy. Was it posts? And then that was in there.
Yeah. //
Then there was a long number, which I think is a date, year, month, day. Save that, and then I should be able to commit it directly to the live stream branch. I'm not going to put in a commit message, just leave the default. I think that should be okay. I hope. Let's have a look. So now if I go back to here, yes, the next step. We're on to step 6.
So again, I think what's really, really powerful about this is that it really allows you just like to dive in. Again, it's using GitHub to teach you GitHub, which is very
awesome.
much the GitHub way.
Yeah, I think that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so next step, pull request.
So yeah, again, I love that they have all the links in here. So this shortcut, click from the.
And then it already appears at the top. It says pushed 1 minute ago. Let's raise it. Usually you'd put a description and a screenshot and make the other person kind of understand what's going on, but I know what I've done. It's just for me. So I'm going to raise it. 1 approval needed. Okay. Interesting. Oh, okay. Requested changes. I messed something up, did I? Interesting. Here we go. Fixing your pull request. That's pretty awesome.
The first comment on your pull request will have a default text description.
Okay, I made a mistake. Click on the right top. Okay, so it wants me to edit the description. Okay, edit. Following the GitHub, not going to put GitLab. That's wrong. GitHub Lab tutorial. Yes. Labs, S, you're right. Okay, so if I update that, I don't know if I will have to do another commit to trigger it off again, maybe. Let me see if, done the edit. Oh no, it updated, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's epic. Your pull request is looking great.
Yes. Yay. Let's add some content. Replace line 5 of your file with a quotation or meme and witty caption. Remember, Markdown is supported. So line 5 of the file, that was the 0001, the second slide.
Your text, I think, yeah. So if I edit text, making a change on the live stream. And then this will go to the branch that we're in. It's in the pull request. Yeah, it'll go into the live stream, so it'll just append the pull request. Okay, and then if I go back to the conversation, I'm hoping we get step 8. Yes! Okay, we're doing good. This is awesome. I'm having fun. Really am. This is so cool.
Cool. Now you can click merge pull request and click confirm merge.
Merge. Yes, and it's going to deploy out.
Yep, and then they're going to prompt you to delete the branch.
Okay, I'll wait for it to prompt me before I hit delete. Oh, next issue,
Oh, actually,
I think.
it's specified as a last step in the
Oh, is it?
pull request. Yeah. So see number 4.
Oh, wow. Yes. Okay. It's just come through. Nice work. Very cool kind of image. Congratulations. You've completed this course. It said 1 hour and we've done it in less than 30 minutes, like 20 minutes. Very cool.
Well, also there's videos, and also we know how to use GitHub. So.
That's true. That's true. So if I delete the branch, do we get any more like notifications? No. I'm kind of waiting to get another one pop up. It's quite exciting. It feels like I got a friend. The GitHub bot. Okay, that's awesome. So pull request closed. It's been merged in, and if I visit the links over here, that's from the lab. If I visit my deployed version, which if you can't remember what it is, you can go to settings and all the way down, and it gives you a link down here. So I should have a second slide here, and I do. There we go. So this was the first one that we all saw, and now this is the second one. Yeah. And there's my message.
It's beautiful.
Is this using what's it called? Reveal.js to do the slides?
Ooh, actually, I'm not sure.
It is, yeah, Reveal.js. I thought it might be. Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we've done that. We've achieved that. How many green squares have I got for today? Let's have a look. So we had 8 initially. We went to 9. Come on, give me some more. I'm guessing like 12. 13! Even better than I thought. Yes.
Which is fantastic. So this is, as I mentioned, part of a bigger learning lab, and not a bigger learning path. Words are hard. So specifically, the name of this one, and I don't, I could just give you the URL because why not? That's the easier way to do it. It is going to be, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? My goodness. So if it from lab.github.com.
Yeah.
Again, you kind of notice the author of this was the GitHub training team. So okay. lab.github.com/GitHub training.
Okay.
And then /ramp -up -on -git -and -GitHub.
That's a lot of hyphens. Hopefully I typed it wrong. I typed it wrong. I mean, hopefully I typed it right. Oh, I've got GitHub training twice. That's my bad.
Oh, it's all good.
Okay, my bad. And just to show everyone, on this course that we just did, we have now completed it 8 out of 8. Average time to complete 59 minutes. It's free, which is awesome. And then you can watch the video. I do look forward to having a look at the videos later on and how they did it.
And see right there that Git help, that post on the GitHub community forum.
Oh, yes.
I'm just going to point out that our community forums are fantastic. I have so much respect for our community team that maintains. That page doesn't exist. That's silly. Well, needless to say, there is.
It happens.
We do have great GitHub community pages. We can probably just drop in a working link for you.
Yeah.
And this is the beauty of things. When we find broken links, we can go and call them out because, like open source, things change, and we always need to make sure we're keeping all of our links and documentation up to date.
Absolutely.
I know I just had to go do that. I just had to go do that with a whole bunch of my stuff. So on the bigger learning path, though, that very long URL I made you type with all the hyphens.
I'm just going to share a link to our organization if anyone wants to join as well. You can join our GitHub organization. Can't spell GitHub. GitHub.org. There's the link, and we have a support repo. Whereas if you want to join, you can just raise an issue and just say you want to join, and I will add you after the live stream. And we also have discussions as well on things that we're talking about in Discord that we think is useful. We try and capture it on here and continue to do the conversation here so you can help other people so it doesn't get lost in the history. So this is a beta feature from GitHub that we've got early access to, which is really exciting.
It's awesome. Yeah, the discussions is really cool actually for GitHub Satellite with all of our speakers. So GitHub, we do like 2 kind of conference talks where we talk about, feature releases alongside community talks. So Satellite, which was in May of this year, all of our speakers, their Q&A was actually driven with discussions, which is really great.
That's cool.
And I'm sure you're probably using it with great success, but I love the idea that, when you ask a question akin to other kind of community moderation spaces, there's the upvote, downvote, but there's also the, hey, this is the actual answer that we've pegged and we believe is correct. So I think that's really, really cool. So I like the discussions feature. It's pretty nifty.
It is really awesome. And I like it. Like you said, people can select an answer. And then like here, what we've done is we've actually moved it to an issue. So actually we can action the discussion now as well, which I think is really, really epic. And you still get your green square for starting a discussion, which I think is important because a lot of people were worried about if they didn't raise an issue but raise a discussion, will they still get their green square for today? And they still do. So if in doubt, raise it. Raise an issue or raise a discussion, and worst case, it just gets closed. No one will die, and it won't cost anyone anything, but you get your green square for each day. So if in doubt, I always say raise it.
Exactly. So back to them, the kind of the modules where all these sit. You can find that some of these will sit in larger learning paths, and the combination of learning paths may not always be just the courses, but maybe also other links to documentation. So as folks are kind of exploring, if they're wanting to do more, you'll find that, as you notice, they'll enumerate and say, like, here's courses and here's links to other things that you should probably check out. So I think this one's a good one for folks. I've given this to countless people as they're thinking about, hey, I want to get into open source. I don't know where to start. This, I think, is a really great resource for people to work through. Particularly some things I think are cool here to call out beyond just that there's like the documentation about learning all the Git stuff. If you scroll down for me, learning Markdown, obviously, but GitHub Actions, which I think we should pop into probably next, would be kind of cool. GitHub Actions is really GitHub Actions is really cool. And actually, there's a whole learning path that's DevOps with GitHub Actions. Or is it DevOps with GitHub? Either way, it's one of those names, which is fantastic because really, I think the whole kind of automation you can build into your code workflows is really powerful. But then if we scroll down a little bit further, there's some documentation and references to inner source, which I think is really, really powerful. So for those of you who may not have heard about or may not know what inner source is basically taking learnings from open source and then saying, like, this is how we ought to build code. So when we talk about open source, Eddie, I'm sure you've probably talked about this many times.
No, but please carry on. I don't know what inner source is, so come on. I'm really excited. This is good. This is great.
Just the idea that, how do we build resilient code, and what looking at open source, and then like what kind of things can we take from open source and then bring that to our code practice, our code development practices. So talking about inner source and then kind of what tooling and features align with how you can practice that in your own, be it organization, your own project, or whatever is the thing that you're writing code for. I think this is pretty cool too, is talking about how GitHub features kind of align with that. So again, the idea that, if you're wanting to build a transparent, large, you want to have a code base that is accessible to all and transparent and invites people of any background to come contribute. Like, how do you build in those best practices? Because there's some small features that, even I have to admit, I'm constantly learning about features that I didn't know we have at GitHub. The other day, just even like remembering that there's a checklist of like, did I create my code owner? Did I have my code of conduct? Do I have a documentation for how to do contributions? All of those kind of things that we expect when someone comes to an open source project. Those are kind of things that we say are kind of pulled in from open source, and that then builds the kind of foundations of what we call to be like inner source. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing, is talking a little bit about some of the product vision, how it lines with open source, and then how we can bring that to maybe other spaces where code development happens. So thank you so much for bringing that up. For those of you who may not have seen this is a great, I think, overview of thinking about accessibility for your repository. So making sure you have some of these things all filled out. Obviously the README, the code of conduct, contributing guidelines, the license is important. But you have like all these templates and stuff. So the learning labs really do kind of give you a really nice end-to-end understanding of all the bells and whistles that sometimes I'm guilty of not knowing exist, or I'm guilty of not knowing that I ought to use them because maybe I have some other practice. So for these like longer kind of learning paths, definitely if you have time and you're wanting to kind of level up on some of that, I think those are really great ways as well to kind of walk through things on your own pace and your own timeline. So I guess let's go ahead and maybe get into the GitHub Actions one.
Let's do it. I'm just going to bring, sorry to interrupt, I'm just going to bring up a question, which I just noticed. So apologies everyone for not seeing this sooner. What is Reveal.js? I actually have a video on this. It's one of my most popular videos where it allows you to write your slides in code. And that sounds like really scary, but trust me, it's not. You can do it with some basic HTML. You can even just do it in Markdown if you want. And then it gives you what you... Yeah, so let me bring one up really quick, and I can find one quickly. Let me see, just to show people what it is, because it is pretty awesome. All my slides are done like this because then they're open source and people can find mistakes and so on. I mean, this is the one we just created. I did do one, let me think. I think, is this deployed? Yeah, it should be deployed. If I open this, this is what my slides look like, and people can make changes and make improvements, and you can kind of get, I don't know if you can see the whole thing rotates. You can do different sort of styles. There's templates. You can even go horizontally as well as vertically. So I've got this horizontally, but you can have like in sections, you can go vertically as well. So you can go down, down, down. So it's pretty awesome. Definitely look at Reveal.js. It's an open source JavaScript library, and like I said, you can do it in Markdown as well. So do definitely have a look at that.
And if you're someone, so I work in the scientific Python, or I work with Python, I work more in like as a data engineer, but I'm always writing Jupyter notebooks. So Jupyter notebooks, you can actually render as slides with reveal.js, which is really cool. So reveal.js is really powerful. Again, little knowledge of, and there is a GitHub Learning Lab about how to learn Markdown, just to plug that. But knowing how to do a little bit of Markdown, knowing kind of how to plug that in, and then being able to like publish a very easy to read slide stack that can go right to your GitHub pages, that whole workflow is super easy, which I think is really powerful. So very cool. So I think the GitHub Actions, we can, I think that was listed in this one, if I'm not mistaken.
Can I click on it directly so I don't have to do the whole thing, right? Okay.
I believe you can.
Okay, let's have a look. GitHub Actions, Hello World, or the next one down?
6. Yeah, I think you can click on it directly.
Oh, I can, yes. Awesome.
Perfect.
Right, so everyone watching, pay attention, extra attention, because there is a DevTO hackathon until the 17th of September. And if you create a GitHub action and you open source and you submit it, I think they have prizes of up to $1,500. So definitely, and it will not only help you maybe get the prize money, but also it will help you with all your project. GitHub Actions, such a game changer. I'm actually working on my video at the moment for GitHub Actions, which I hope to release or post tomorrow before I leave for Spain. But I'm just trying to perfect it, and I'm spending too long on it. I think I need to get it out there and so on. But let's see. But that will be coming out soon, so stay tuned. If you hit the bell button, it will notify you when I post that video.
Yeah, GitHub Actions are really, really exciting. So basically, you think of it almost as like an if this then that set of instructions, and under the hood running everything on Azure. But what's really cool about Actions is that you don't have to worry about, that's not something that comes out of your pocket. That's just something that is made available to you. So depending on what your workflow or what kind of things you want to do, you might have things running on a cron, which again is kind of like on a scheduled timetable, or you might have things that happen that happen as a result of some event. So this learning lab, which maybe we won't go all the way through this since you already have a video that you're working on, but for those of you who might want to poke around a little bit, this one is pretty awesome. And again, kind of akin to that workflow if you pop in with the Start Free course.
Let's do it. Like, a lot of people have taken this already, and don't get scared about GitHub Actions. It might sound scary if you haven't done it before, but a lot of it is just YAML config. And you can bring in different plugins. In my video, I want to be doing a Hello World example like this, but actually go into writing a custom plugin with JavaScript as well. But it's not as scary as it sounds, I promise. It is definitely well worth understanding what's going on. Oh, I haven't done it with a Dockerfile. So this is going to be great.
Yeah. So that there is more than one way to write a GitHub action. So yeah, this one with a Dockerfile will walk you through that. So the start would be a good place to go.
Let's go.
Yeah. So we've already kind of seen the workflow. We know a little bit about, hey, this is going to set us up, telling us what is the thing. I love that it links us to the documentation, which is fantastic. And notice it says, hey, if you are popping in and you are very unclear what some of these things are, I do appreciate as well like the expectation of saying like what are some of like the prerequisites. So for this one that says Introduction to GitHub, which we've pretty much gone through, which is great. So yeah, anyways, this workflow will have us go through in creating a GitHub action using a Dockerfile. So if you'll see the first step enumerated below, and it gives us the definition of what the action is, and it kind of gives you then the prompt of where to start. So again, I love that people have the quick links here, which is great. So, maybe not the easiest for you, Eddie, because I know you're toggling between multiple tabs, but if you're,
No.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, no worries. No, I can jump between multiple tags, and I'm jumping between the chat as well. But no, it's good. It's keeps me on my toes, keeps me out of trouble. So you keep directing me. So create a file titled that, or using this quick link. So what does the quick link do? Oh, I see. Okay, it goes straight to the file already. That's really awesome. I didn't realize it could do that. Yeah. And then I can copy and paste this in. And for people who haven't used Docker, this is the from is what is like your base, like what you start from. So we're starting from a Debian Linux distribution using version 9.5, and it's slim. And then the entry point, how can I explain this right? This is we're adding. This will be on our local host, and then this will be inside the Docker container. So in the root of the Docker container, this file will be there available. We're running this command, and we're making it +x makes it executable, so we can run it. And then the entry point to the Dockerfile, I suppose, is it will run this command. Is that correct? Have I explained that correctly?
So, okay. Yeah. So basically, what Docker does is instead of writing code is one part of doing the thing. You then have to get the project installed. So what's really cool about Docker is you don't have to worry about, oh, hey, when I do an installation on Debian versus Ubuntu, whatever, managing all those dependencies, what you can do is with your Docker container, you can actually have all of that wrapped up together and think of it as a giant kind of bundled file, making like a tarball, or think of it as a big file that maybe you would have to zip because it's a big thing. So needless to say, what we're doing here is we're saying, hey, this is going to be the base, the language is like the base image or the base like operating system that we're going to be working from. And we're taking this file. So entry point.sh is going to be, this is the startup script that on entry point, so upon starting our Docker container, kick off with this script. So right now we haven't written that script. All we're doing is starting with the Dockerfile. So that's what this first step is. So I suspect we're going to be getting to the entry file or the entry point in a subsequent step.
Or did it say do it in a branch? I think it did, and I skipped that step.
I believe beneath it had some specification.
Oh, here we go. Create a new branch named intentionally. Okay, so let me create a new branch. And we will call it, I don't know, GitHub Action.
Sounds good.
Create that file. I was already gone to pull request. We can raise the pull request because we can always still add to it anyway as well. I don't know if I'm jumping a few steps here. So while that's running, commit your file. Oh, it does say open a pull request against the default branch, which I've done. It's probably not happy about something. Oh, no, it is. Nice work. You've got a Docker file. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations. The world is your oyster. Right. So this is what we were just talking about, needing to specify what that actual startup script is. So when we say Docker run this container, or run this Docker image, that script is going to be the thing that actually kicks off when we actually say start. And the Learning Lab actually has provided you with an example of what you want for your startup script, which is going to say, hello world, my name is, and then you'll have an input, my name.
Awesome. Okay, let me create a new file. Give me a shortcut here again. So let me click on that. Paste it in. I'll put a line break at the end.
Numbers are nice.
Yep, and then commit it to this branch. Nawal, hopefully I pronounced your name right. Awesome to have you here. If you can raise an issue on the support repo, I will send you a link now to join the community. I will add you after the live stream. So if I just get the support repo and I go to the issue, if you can raise an issue here, if you're looking closed, you'll see some examples of people raising an issue saying joining the organization with the label. So if you do that.
Is that actually an issue template?
Sorry, say that again?
Is that an issue template for joining the organization?
Actually, we do have one, but I think it's very similar to all the others. Okay, I'll check at the end if you have time. Remind me and we'll check. I'm pretty sure we do have one.
Oh goodness!
If not, someone raise an issue and you'll get a green square that we need to do templates. But I think for something we're working on with the community at the moment, so we actually have some awesome contributions last night and this morning. For like the contributors file and other bits and pieces. So we are improving our onboarding. So if anyone wants to help, more than welcome to join in.
Yeah. That's a really great way to get involved too, I think, is helping people think, you have that expertise of being the beginner. So helping kind of improve that experience is always great. I believe the comment was on the pull request.
Oh yeah, so if I come to the issue, right, that's correct. So if I go to the pull request, added that. Brilliant. I created the file, as we can see. Nice work. Yes. Lots of nice work.
So this is where you go back to kind of what is an action. The YAML file will say, hey, this is actually, notice in our script, we had that variable my name that could be dropped in. That's where for the startup script. So you'll see in this action.yaml, that's actually where you can provide the value for the name to be rendered, which is pretty cool. So in working with actions in your action.yaml file, that's where you actually have the ability to say, okay, how does this thing run? What kind of inputs do I want to provide it? What's the name of this action, etc.
It's so awesome. You can have multiple inputs. You can even have outputs, which we can maybe come on to later. If not, I'll do another live stream. Actually, in my video, I will cover that. So people using the action then can pass in data to do things as well. It's so awesome. So let me create this file. Oh no, I wanted that. Okay, same branch. Yes. Go back to the pull request.
Yeah, I can get a little tricky remembering where the thing is happening. I think that's one of the things that sometimes is a gotcha.
But it's good to then, it makes you kind of look around, right? It makes you look around and see, to get more familiar with the repo, I suppose.
Yeah. And then the action specifying like inputs, and then the workflow actually specifying like how does this thing do the thing. So you'll notice here it says it'll be executed based on a chosen event. For this lab, we'll be using the push event. So that is specified in the .github/workflows. Yeah, main.yaml.
And it is awesome that you can see. I did my my plugin as a separate repo, so I had to keep keeping these things in sync. Whereas I didn't realize, and I've just learned that now, that you can actually have the plugin in the same repo, and once you've kind of got it working the way we want, you can then kind of move it out into a separate repo so it can be used in multiple repos. So it's, even I'm learning so much by following these steps, because I've got things working but maybe not in the most efficient way. So this is really interesting. And you can do issues created, pull requests. There's so many things you can do. And actually someone suggested only yesterday, day before yesterday, that they said rather than me manually adding people to the organization, you can do it so therefore when this label gets added to an issue, it
Yes.
automatically adds them to the organization, which I think is just epic.
Yes. I think we're actually doing some of this with Pilates, where we're building our community with all of our if this then that's kind of workflows with
That's
GitHub
so cool.
Actions. So it's
That's
really
epic.
interesting to see. Again, we think about using actions as, oh hey, maybe I need to recompile my code base to push up to some other location. So maybe we're always thinking about GitHub Actions as aligning with some kind of continuous integration, continuous
Yes.
development. But honestly, if we take a bird's eye view of what CI/CD is, there's a lot that can happen with automation. And since you can write your own GitHub Actions, which I imagine you're going to be going through some examples there, you can do some really powerful stuff with GitHub Actions. So again, this learning lab I think is just a really great way to see where things kind of align and understand how you kind of can start kind of debugging and seeing things in real time at your own pace, which is really important.
It
So
is. It is so important. And you're right. I've always seen GitHub Actions as CI and CD, but it's so much more. Being able to tie into all the events on GitHub, being able to do so many custom things that you can use across repos. I think it's just something that every person on GitHub is eventually one day going to have a bit of an understanding for. It's not necessarily be an expert to write your own custom ones, but at least have an understanding for it.
So actually, at this point in time, what I think would be so if we wanted to pause, and granted, I know we're not completed with this learning lab, but we've kind of got a feel for like where this is going, and as well as some of the ways that these learning labs are set up in learning paths to help you kind of navigate through different skill sets that you want to get through. I did at least want to plug where you can find writing a learning lab course yourself.
Yes.
And then, yeah, so then I don't think we'll have time into getting into it today, but I would totally be happy. If folks have questions and they're going through that themselves, I'm pretty active on social. I would be happy to respond to folks' questions there. So it's lab.github.com, and we're going to have some of this fun. I will tell you how to type the thing. So
Okay.
it's actually, maybe you could do a search there in all public courses. Maybe that'll be a little easier. It's just
Okay.
writing a learning lab course is the name of it. Yeah.
And one thing I want to say to people watching, do let me know in the chat if you would like a course on something in particular, because that is something I want to look into doing. So if there is something you would like, I can have a look if something exists, or have a look yourself. And if it doesn't exist, that's something that I can create. And I'm going to have a look at the videos that have been included in these courses, because maybe I can include my own videos in there as well. So it's all quite exciting. I'm guessing this one,
Excellent.
writing a learning lab course.
Yep. There we go. So,
Wow.
yeah. So I did call this out at the beginning. What this actually starts to show you is how you basically take a combination of two repositories. You're going to have one that has your starter code and things that you would be kind of pulling in as you're going through your different tasks. And then you'll have a repository which actually includes, akin to like what we saw with Actions, where it's all YAML driven. You'll have a YAML file that specifies the actual steps. As you can see here, that's kind of a snapshot specifying the YAML file that actually talks through the steps of like step one is you have to create a file. Step two is you have to do that. So while we didn't get to it today here in this stream, this is definitely a great place you can continue to kind of work through learning labs on your own to check it out. And then from there, I would just say I imagine dropping this into the community chat would be a great place for folks to check that out, as well as using the community support space. And then lastly, I would say, like we did the search, looking around at different courses, just poking around and kind of seeing what people have written out there. Because again, that's what open source is all about, is just kind of getting a feel, seeing what kind of cool things are possible and trying it out for yourself. So that I think will be some good stuff. But
That's
otherwise,
awesome.
yeah, so I know we didn't get through everything, but ideally this gives a good introduction for folks of kind of understanding what this thing is, how they may want to use it, how they can explore it a little bit more, and hopefully get a little bit more into some cool learning opportunities that maybe otherwise they wouldn't have known about.
Absolutely. So yes, Lorena. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
You've got it. You've
I
got
got it.
it.
Okay, I feel though nervous saying it. I'm going to get it wrong, but I get everyone's name wrong, so I really apologize.
I
Um,
get my name. It's okay. We're all good.
Thank you so much for taking taking us through it, and it's just been amazing. And I've just while you were just saying the last piece, I did try and sneak in the next step, see if I can get it to finish. But if not, oh yeah, it's going to run. Apparently, it's gonna trigger the workflow. So I will check in a minute. There we go. Success. Your workflow ran, and you can see the output
Yep.
here.
Which is available at the Actions tab.
Yes, thank you for pointing out.
Yeah.
Actions tab at the top. You can see the first one failed because we hadn't finished implementing it, but the second one passed. And then you can click on the step, and we can
Correct.
see it should
And
say,
you can
"Hello world, my name is Mona."
Yep. And for those of you who, as you're exploring with this, see that rerun job at the top right? If you ever have anything that, if you have an action that fails and you just want to try again, you can try doing that. But this view here with the actions view, it'll show you, because you can have more than one action. It'll show you all the things that are specified. So if you have actions that, for example, maybe we have on push, right? So maybe you have like a test suite that runs. If there was something that you changed that didn't require a code change, maybe it was just something clunky with Docker, you could always just go in and click rerun there as well. So yeah, definitely that tab will be very helpful in helping you understand what's happening.
Awesome. And then in my video coming out, I do have some community people talking about the actions that they have built or the actions that they would like to build. So there's some ideas there for you as well. So I've got a few people. I've got Mish from GitHub in Australia also makes an appearance and brings some suggestions, and same with a few other people from the community as well. And Sam from Microsoft, who's been on my channel before as well. So lots of exciting things coming up. I can't thank you enough for taking us through that. Your delivery, the content is amazing. Your delivery is epic and so engaging. Do you have a YouTube channel? Because I think you need one, because you'd be so good. Really would.
I play on Twitch, actually.
Okay.
So I play on Twitch a little bit, but I have been doing a lot with PyLadies. So needless to say, if you follow me on Twitter, I post some content there as well. And I'm always happy if people want to talk about, doing more of this kind of stuff, be it, through a chat like this or another experience. Let me know. We'll see what works.
That sounds good. Well, we'll definitely keep the conversation going. Someone did mention in the chat that your DMs aren't open. I suggested that they just at you and tweet you. Therefore, other people can see. I really like non-private DMs, because then other people can get involved in the conversation. And it saves you getting the same question 10 times. Other people can kind of see the Q&A as well. That's what I recommend in our Discord as well. When people DM me, I say, please ask publicly. Someone else can help. It allows me to scale more, or other people can learn from it, so I don't get the same questions over and over again.
Well, that sounds great.
Let me share your Twitter again. If anyone else is new who has joined and they want to follow you on Twitter. Yes. There's your Twitter. And thank you so much again for taking the time out and going through that with us. We finished that course. So actually, in theory, that should now be green, right? Where is it? This one. If I refresh it, 7 out of 7, 6 out of 7. I got one more step to do. Okay. Right. I will do that after the live stream, so people, I can share a link. People should see it. I'll share a link to that as well. So close. I'll do that afterwards. Thank you so much. I look forward to chatting with you more, and also having you on the live stream maybe in a few months when you get time, because I know you're busy, and we can maybe go through a course I've made or something like that. We'll think of some ideas. We'll see what questions we get from the community.
I have a fun Python telenovela deep learning model project I'm working on. So if someone wants to go through all that, it's pretty special.
That sounds awesome. How big? When you say it's quite kind of big, how big is it?
I've been working on it for a few months, but then I really got into the weeds with it when I started pulling in more folks to help me do some data collection. So with that being said, I am looking to stand up a website to do a little bit of the text generation now, because it's been more just a fun project that lives in the cloud and on a notebook that I have. So turning it a little bit more into an interactive website to talk about deep learning and kind of how to get started with doing text processing, I think is kind of a fun thing. So yeah, those are projects I work on.
Awesome. And everyone should follow you on GitHub as well. There's probably a link in your bio on Twitter, I think.
Yes, there is.
It was definitely one to your website, which then has the link to your GitHub too.
Excellent.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll say our byes. I'll put up the holding screen and we can have a quick catch up if you've got a couple of minutes. But if you need to go, just drop off and we can chat more later on.
No, all good. Sorry for I know like at the tail end, I was like, oh, we should probably wrap this up. So thanks for helping me kind of switch that. I appreciate it. Let me just see real quick if my work calendar is blowing up. I was getting pinged on a thing, so that's.
I heard a few pings come through, so yeah, I know you've got lots on. But again, it shows everyone that we're all always busy. So any way other people can get involved in the conversation is really helpful. So if you do see people raising an issue, so everyone watching, if you do see people raising an issue or asking a question in Discord and you can help, then it's really useful to us and to yourself to jump in and help out.
I'm more in Discord. I can't say I'm always in there, but definitely if you wanted to send me that info, I would be super curious to poke around that community. That sounds really
awesome.
Cool what you're building up. I love that.
That'd be great. We have, I think, Brian there and a few and Jason as well, a few other Brian. GitHub people. So yeah, I was watching his video from yesterday on YouTube. He's so chill. He's like so awesome.
Brian is one of the chillest people ever, and he is very, very good people. I just respect so much the work that he does. Again, very much like you, just the empathy and the passion that you bring to it, particularly about meeting people where they're at, I think is really important. So knowing that there's an alliance there, I'm like, that's good.
Awesome. Let me bring up the holding page. Thank you everyone for joining this live stream. Any questions, ask in a Discord or raise an issue. And you can also leave a comment below. Give the video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are not subscribed. And we will catch you all soon. Thank you again, Lorena, and we'll say our byes to everyone.
Bye.